It's the lifestyle capital of the universe.
We live in a beautiful place.
I've never really found a place quite like this place.
Byron Bay does it their way.
We love the beach. It's a beautiful place up here.
Very fantastic place to live and to dive.
We like to do things a bit differently up here.
Great landscape and great diversity of people.
Byron's a fertile garden where everything grows.
The tranquility of the mountains and the tranquility of the ocean.
The music is very beautiful and strong, and musicians are gifted here.
Very tolerant community.
Byron could be a place where there are 5,000 Buddhas.
It was a combination of the smell and the temperature and just the feeling.
All the Aboriginal places was down the pass.
Well, I'm here because I think it's the most exciting place in the world.
This is where all of my people lived, the Iraqal people. Well, just lived their own way, you know, under trees and camps and things. That was our main spot down the pass. The men would be watching for fish to go around here, you know, around here, and they'd be down after them and get just their share, just our share of fish what we wanted, not less or no more, you know. And the women would be waiting there to cook them on the, you know, open fires then.
The original Aboriginal name was Cavern Bar, and Cavern Bar was an Aboriginal term for meeting place.
In 1896, the village of Cavern Bar was named Byron Bay.
There used to be a beautiful esplanade, parklands in front of the beach. There used to be a road in front of the existing land area now that has all been washed away through cyclonic events. You can even see perhaps evidence of this change by looking at the shipwreck that most people can see from the main beach at Byron Bay. That's the shipwreck of the Wollongbar. When that was wrecked, it actually was totally beached. It was surrounded by sand, and now it's never accessible by walking out at low tide. It's completely surrounded by the sea.
We witnessed a massive cyclone which came from the Cape. The 2 cranes went into the water, the 22 fishing vessels were lost, and 600 feet of the 2,005 feet went into the sea. Whaling commenced in Byron Bay on May the 29th, 1954. In the 1970s, the whaling price of oil just plummeted and there was no whales left anyway. They mined the main beach in front of the surf club and all along there. They actually damaged it so much and nobody had the wisdom to stop them.
This area here, which is now the posh beach, used to be a little old hut with a vegetable garden, and there was a bit of a stream ran down there somewhere. I'm sure that's all filled in by now, but that was my uncle. He came here in about the early 1920s with his family from Chindra. Some cousins of ours drove some goats over here for them. They drove them overland, brought them over here, and he used them for giving the kids that milk because it was good for their skin. When he died, the goats just ran wild, and I think the locals began to call them the lighthouse goats and created this legend about the wonderful goats that had saved the lighthouse keeper, but really they just saved the kids from getting acne.
It was a tiny little town, and I thought it was an ugly little town. Our first impression was the top pub the night we arrived here, and it was horrible. People were throwing glasses of beer at each other. It was like a cattle yard.
It was one of the great industrial villages on the east coast of Australia only 20 or 30 years ago. It's sort of grown into a pretty interesting place.
In the late 70s, a lot of outsiders came into the area and sort of a big rush that was too much for the locals to, repel.
It's an interesting mix of people. If you go back, through the recent history of the whole area, and the rainbow generation, if you like, who came up in the late 60s, early 70s into Nimbin, have now been here for almost 30 years. And they've moved right throughout the whole region. Some people who came to the area as hippies are now full-on business people. Some people who came to the area maintain the lifestyle, but they've developed their creative skills. And that they've been here for long enough so that they've actually had an effect on the kind of broad general population. It's kind of an open attitude. It's an area that's really open to cultural festivals and cultural events.
In the early 80s, it started expanding hugely and young people came from everywhere to be here. There was a great excitement in the town. There were very talented theatrical, media, artists, everything. And we had a hell of a lot of fun. It was tremendous fun.
I might think differently than you think.
It's the lifestyle capital of the universe. I mean, there are probably only 2 or 3 places on the planet where you can say the name and people know, Byron Bay, I'll get a great massage. Byron Bay, I can do nude yoga on the beach.
Byron's a magnet, really, or maybe it's more like a kind of a fertile garden where everything grows. It's just a magical place. First of all, there's sort of heady infatuation. That's great, and then you're reminded that it is still a country town with all of the tensions and jealousies and so on that country towns struggle with. It is a lifeboat, and it's probably the last one for most of us.
A huge amount of surfers here, and especially percentage of the population. You go to the bakery, the people in the bakery surf, and you got to get your car fixed, and the mechanic surfs, and the electrician comes around and he surfs, and the plumber surfs, and it's like just about everybody surfs, Surf town.
It's a very magic place. We all came to live here because it offered us a lifestyle.
There is a lifestyle choice here that people come here to enjoy what it is so beautiful and special about the place. And I think it's important to recognise that we really do have something beautiful and something so special. And for me to live here, it means I can be, sitting out in the surf and be with the dolphins and enjoy a beautiful sunset.
I don't live in Byron Bay. I prefer to live in the hills that perhaps overlook Byron Bay. I find that Byron Bay is, I guess because of the amount of tourists, it's just not as friendly as it could be.
So really it's now a real melting pot of people from all over Australia, all over the world. And luckily, if you walk down the street, based upon, I think, youth, the average age in Byron looks to be more like about somewhere between 20 and 25.
I love the diversity of the town, the fact that people do feel free to express themselves. And for me personally, that diversity extends off into areas of thoughts and philosophies which I find basically off the planet, somewhere the other side of the solar system. That's fine. People are welcome to those viewpoints, but there comes a time when a little bit of a reality check is needed.
The area supports individuals, people who do come from all walks of life and somehow find their place.
It's like the country, but it's not like the country at all. It's a very city-fied atmosphere.
Everyone's come here and we've moved here to build a better future. We've got away from the cities because we don't agree with the way things are done, as far as community, as far as bringing people together is concerned.
I want my children to understand that there are a huge range of choices in terms of lifestyle preferences, religious beliefs, well, you name it, basically virtually every single alternative is represented here in all its sort of many colours in Byron Bay.
You have a whole range of people here. You have your conservative industry type people, you have your builders, you have farmers, you have a very high level of unemployment, very high numbers of tourism, backpackers. You could run across just about everything that Australia has to offer and lots that the world has to offer.
I am a simple man and I still believe love is the light.
The markets are really important to Byron Bay. They fulfil a very important cultural function. It's one of the last places where there's authentic culture in Byron Bay. They also bring in or allow people to develop their business ideas, to support themselves when they first arrive. And it's also a social focal point for the whole community.
We've got people here from all over the world, you know. We've got people from all professions, all walks of life. So I see the diversity as being part of the food of the area. It's what attracts a lot of people to this area.
Byron's a very diversified, comfortable, laid-back, relaxed sort of an area. Perhaps sometimes it's a little bit too relaxed, but
essentially the bay itself, it's a beach resort, but it's a kind of funky, almost grungy, you know, half-mad beach resort. You can get anything you want, you can do anything you want, you know. It's a population supposedly of 5,000 people. There are 93 cafes and restaurants. I mean, that's got to say something about the heat in the place when it's really hopping.
What appears under the surface of a tourist town is an incredibly powerful community, and that community is very passionate and compassionate and supportive of many community groups, organisations and issues.
There will always be a need for community development. We see the major work that we do here to look after the social, cultural and welfare and educational needs of the community. And there will always be the need for the welfare component. I think Byron will always attract people here looking for something, you know, as they've always done.
It's a town where opinions are varied and strong. At this stage of our development, that makes for a really interesting phase of our growth.
This area has attracted a lot of free-thinking, strong-willed people that have a relationship with this natural place and also a relationship with the culture of the place in terms of alternative thinking and Aboriginal thinking.
Byron Bay is great because it's a small town, but it's got a lot of the features of the bigger towns. You know, if you go to a pub in Byron, you see the hippies, you see the whatever they are, but they're all in the one place, whereas in a big city, you'd go to one pub for that type of person, another pub for that type of person. You don't get that.
You have people who visit Byron Bay from the hills and the background of Byron Shire, who use it as a centre with alternative lifestyles, alternative aspirations. You have people who come here because they've holidayed here in the past and they think, yes, I'm going to go back there one day and live and perhaps retire here.
My heart said to come here. And through that, just watching how everything else has unfolded, there's suddenly this huge family of people around who are supporting a dream that had come through me, but it's a shared dream now as well. Some of the most amazing, talented people dwell in this Shire. White Dove at this stage is a semi-professional company. We want to act as a platform in the Shire for big productions, for actors, musicians, stage crew to come together and create magic.
It's finished.
And we always travel to Byron Bay, for we found Byron Bay has a very unique kind of spiritual feel to it. Therefore, we find it a perfect spot or place to spread our message of peace. And we find people here very responsive to that spirituality.
One of the things that I've always found with Byron is it used to be a birthing place for the Aboriginals, and it's really about the birthing somewhere here of something else going on, and it's not about this guru or that guru, it's not about this religion or that religion. It's something new, a new consciousness coming, and it's actually birthing in Byron in the Australian context. There's other places in the world where it's focused, but in Byron, this is the centre for Australia. When I first came here like 15 years ago, There was people who are doing this or doing that, but there wasn't the critical mass for things to work. Now that's here. All the New Age teachers coming through, they're all coming to Byron. It's the first stop. This is their headquarters. Byron could be the first enlightened town in the world. I mean, why not? It's got to be somewhere. You know, it's that kind of, and it's gorgeous.
A lot of people who are attracted to coming, and a lot of people who live in Byron Bay who are working on living in higher consciousness. Sipping breath up to the heart and expanding out. I'm teaching people basically self-healing tools for transformation. So how to work with energy and light to shift fear-based blockages in the body. The workshop environment where I work with groups of people is very much a space where people can really get together to clear old, frozen emotional energy. When we're interconnected with our true core nature, which is love, ultimately we are also in perfect health. The two are very interconnected, the mind and the body. I really feel it when I leave here, how I come out of Byron and I can just feel the consciousness shift. I see it as a place of strengthening, where you're supported. It's like you can be supported to live in higher consciousness here. People like myself, I know I have to go out.
I wanted to remind people that they're great, just as great as Jesus, and it seems that the young people here will listen to something relatively new in the theological realm.
We all come here and want to give the juice and create a Buddha field, which for us means the energy of our master, and that somehow then that dissipates out into the broader community in terms of meditation and raising your consciousness.
Byron has a global reputation as a healing sanctuary, and my dream was to create a space where local practitioners could get together and share their skills without the pressure of having to generate a huge income to do it. So the festival's created on a basis of sharing. Most people will notice the energy of the festival when you walk through the door. It's a very nurturing energy, and it's been my aim to create that and to co-create that with all the practitioners who choose to share that with us.
Either you learn to adapt, heal, and move on, and from that experience you're able to move ahead and help other people. Because of the land and what was originally here with the Aboriginals and their culture, there is a sense of peace. And even though there was a lot of turmoil and war here, the peace on this energy here is just incredible. And this is why it's drawn for so many people. Many spiritual people are drawn here, mainly for that quality. The energy of the land and the people that was here before makes it that very special place. Very special.
When I'm working on somebody, basically I'm getting in touch with them and helping them see where they're holding blockages, where they're stiffed, where their muscles are contracted. Often when we go in, we'll find somebody will start crying, or there'll be a deep rage that will just release from that body part. It's really quite incredible.
Surfing has a healing effect, being in the ocean all the time, getting washed by the water, being put in a situation where a person has to really get in step with nature, with the rhythm of the waves, the rhythm of the ocean, the weather, the winds, the tides and all that sort of stuff. It really brings people into a much closer connection to nature, the movements of nature.
I'm a liver of the earth, and I just like to do my best, help people, help myself, help the environment. Yeah. If I'm doing that, then I feel I'm honouring my journey, you know. Through coming to Byron Bay, it's allowed me to be in an area where there's more of that around. There's lots of people that have that feeling.
My art is very much driven by my spiritual studies, by my spiritual interests, and she's located in Buddhism, very traditional Buddhism, the Dakini idea. I think a lot of people are interested in those sort of issues here.
I see essentially that it's a place where people meet. In a sense, that meeting is essentially with yourself in Byron, and it's a place where great healing capacity takes place for people. And I think if you somewhere meet yourself, you are possibly a healed being.
It's It's going to the movies, it's going dancing, it's going to a duf party, it's going to the beach, it's about meditating, it's about yoga, it's about celebrating, and it's about cicadas.
I believe that a lot of people are going to come here and they're going to move into their power, and then Byron Bay is going to say it's time for you to leave. You see? I believe it's a vortex of energy. But this is a place to get your energy, regroup, find out who you are, and then go out and tell the world who you are.
In Aboriginal culture, it's a place you go to heal, and once you're healed, you leave. And if you stay there, once you're healed, you go mad, you get sick again. So it's interesting that as a kind of beach resort place, it works perfectly for the tourist. I'm a bit worried about the locals who live down there though, because they stay there, they're not kind of moving away.
Things are free here. When you come to Byron, there's bike riding, or to swim, or to bushwalk, or to go fishing, or to surf.
I don't think I've been anywhere and seen so many people learning to surf. And I suppose that makes sense with it being a healing teaching place, is people come here and they learn to surf. This area has a huge variety of surf. We have the perfect little minute waves of the pass. I've been at the water and I've seen the kids surfing, I've seen mum and dad surfing, and I'll see the grandparents surfing. There's like 3 generations in the water surfing. And then around the front beaches, the much stronger, more powerful waves. Just a little bit south, we have places like Lennox Point, which will handle, Hawaiian type surf. So there's a huge variety of surf here. And because the geographical location, there's almost always surf. We had a swell a few months ago and it was epic. I thought I was in Hawaii. It was just fantastic. Really big, powerful, hollow waves.
We've had live music here at the Railway Bar for nearly 20 years, every night of the week. There's probably one of the few places in Australia that does that, but it's all over town, it's not just here, it's all over the place. It's funny, we have bands come to Byron, playing the Railway in the Northern, and they use a drum machine. It doesn't work. We want it real.
I think Byron, for Southern Cross, I think there are a number of ways that it benefits us. We attract people that, that perhaps a hippie community, people who enjoy surfing, and a whole lot of people from broad walks of life. I guess in many cases not as full-time students of the university, but students who like to access some of our units so that they can study while doing other things that excite them at that particular phase in their lives. We're a university that's headquartered 30 or 40 minutes away from Byron, so when people at Byron look out to sea and they observe whales and their migration, I think if we're able to tell people about our research into whales and what's exciting about that, how we can actually identify whales in terms of their DNA rather than looking through a pair of binoculars and seeing the particular scars on their tail or the other parts of their body. I think that's very exciting.
Byron Bay is really the perfect place to do a little bit of marine education, because you've got the temperate and the tropical waters coming together, and the dive site Julian Rocks just shows both of those. You've got big marine life, as in great big sharks like the grey nose sharks that come through here in winter, and big rays, bull rays and manta rays. And in summer we've got leopard sharks, which is a tropical shark species, come down from the warm waters. With the warm waters you can see very big pelagic fish like kingfish, jewfish, big snappers, things that most people will forget to look at, like little nudibranchs or little crabs and shells and snails. You also see pretty colourful fish as well. You see clownfish in their anemones, you see lots of butterfly fish. It's a very varied and exciting dive site, Julian Rocks.
I love it, it's brilliant. I've been here before, and I stayed 3 weeks, and I come back, flew into Australia about a week ago, and I came straight to Byron.
We've heard of it all the way down, saying it was a chilled out place and a place to spend a while at. So.
The impact of tourism's been something quite monumental for Byron Bay. It sort of happened very quickly. Government authorities have had little time to catch up with the demand on tourism. We're doing it now, and my biggest fear is that the community starts to feel that it's not their home, and that there's something of an invasion of tourism without a necessary return to the host community to protect and manage this environment and this place that, you know, very many people call home, and they're the ones that have been responsible for ensuring that it retains its unique character.
People used to be attracted to Byron because it was almost like a spiritual but also a fun thing, attraction. And then they started advertising it overseas and things, and you know, come and live with the movie stars. I mean, the top pub had been built and Paul Hogan had become famous, and suddenly it became different. People came looking for something that a voyeuristic sort of tourist, where before it had been a very participatory sort of tourism. And that changed Byron.
It's just different, interesting people to look at.
I heard it was good for surfing.
It's a little bit bigger than I expected. I thought it's very old town, but it looks a little bit modern.
At any one time in Byron Bay there could be 30,000 tourists, and yet you only have a resident population that is still less than 6,000. I can imagine many visitors coming to Byron Bay really never meet an actual resident except perhaps shop owners.
As it gets a bit busy in town and that, the traffic and that.
There's more tourists here than I expected though.
You have to keep reminding yourself, gosh, it's a Monday night and there's so many people out.
One of my concerns with the tourists here is the tourists coming here being really mindless and just kind of wandering around, okay, like I'm here now, entertain me, you know? Rather than like coming here and going, okay, this area's really switched on and I'm going to get switched on and, you know, raise my consciousness and do my own healing and my own learning. Because that's what this area's about, it's healing and learning. I mean, healing is learning.
The only local industry we've got here is tourism. And with the influx of people wanting to live here, there's very few jobs and it's seasonal anyway. The kids dip out, totally. The tourists will come in and do it for $5 an hour. Yeah, cheaper, you know, so much cheaper labour.
There's too many tourists. They're everywhere. And they take every job and like just, I don't know, they're just everywhere.
It's sort of place you can be whatever you want to be, which is really good. I've had a chat to a lot of people I wouldn't normally speak to.
Sort of younger town, or it's sort of based towards younger people.
People are just really friendly. It's surprising.
One of the things that we could suffer from is affluence. Place becomes too affluent, prices become too high, and it makes it difficult for young people to come to Byron and holiday in Byron.
Sometimes it's a bit like Ibiza. You know, you've got a bunch of Swedish, German, English, boozy boys looking for a bonk and a beer. Other times, you know, when the Writers' Festival is on, it has a completely different feel. It sort of turns into this kind of hub of culture and the conversation changes altogether. Through the middle of the year, you know, when the Northern Hemisphere is having its holidays, it has another mood again. So it's an always changing place.
We get around 500,000 visitors here a year to the reserve, and the reserve is like a microcosm of everything that is Byron Bay. People who come here, they come here to maybe move through the reserve to launch their boats because of scuba diving just out at the Julian Rocks. They come here to watch whales in winter time. People come here to stay in the lighthouse keepers' cottages. They come here, of course, to see the lighthouse. The lighthouse is part of the heritage listed on the National Estate Register.
1901, they built this here, cleared it and built this lighthouse, which is one of the most beautiful spots I ever seen and never want to know and ever looked at.
The lighthouse it's a heritage precinct. It's really significant, a big 100-metre above sea level, perfect place to build a lighthouse. That's why the lighthouse is so short apparently, because it didn't need to be very big to be seen for far and wide. It has a long Aboriginal history too.
My grandparents, they told us that this had a point on it, you know, like that, see, and they took the top off it. They used to meet, it's just a round circle like this here, because this was all grass, you know, and trees and stuff.
From every perspective, Cape Byron is like well, we call it the 360-degree classroom. It just offers something amazing to learn every direction that you look. You look out to sea, might see a whale breach or dolphins or turtles or marine life abundantly. It's all happening. People come to Watergoes Beach to surf. That's also part of the reserve. There's also a sacred Aboriginal midden. There's incredible riches everywhere you look. There's a loop of walking tracks that go past the most easterly point in Australia, and that is popular with the locals who do their morning walks and walk through some of the rarest littoral rainforest in the country.
Byron Bay, as we all know, is very well known as a popular tourist destination, domestically and internationally, and that of course causes many problems. One of the problems is of course rubbish removal, but also traffic congestions and other issues are high on the agenda. And unfortunately, authorities like council or state government, tourist organizations, they all love to promote Byron Bay as a place to go and a place to enjoy. But as soon as it comes to duties to keep the place maintained, to keep it beautiful, unfortunately so far that's not being done. And private initiatives like ours, volunteer works, sort of fill in, but it really shouldn't be the case.
Just finished cutting some camp laurel down, and I found this little guy who's tangled up in the barbed wire fence, and you can see that his shoulder has been damaged. It's important to look after wildlife, and in areas such as Byron, all the jungles out there are getting smaller. And these little guys are very much a part of what's left. Well, he's a frogmouth owl, and I love owls.
It's difficult, the employment aspect of it, trying to maintain the survival in the area.
Initially I came up with very strong intentions that I was going to set myself up working as a counsellor and like spiritual healer, and I ended up depending on welfare to support me in doing that. They do talk about Byron Bay being incredibly welfare dependent, and oh yeah, there are a bunch of dole bludgers who are just sitting up smoking dope in the hills, but that's not the story as far as I see it. Maybe some people do that, but really the welfare system to me is supporting people to do their art and their creativity, which actually is such a valuable thing to our culture as Byron Shire as well as Australia. In some way, I think it would be great for the welfare system to perhaps be a little bit more honest about the fact that they are supporting artists.
Many people come to Byron Bay without any clear job prospect. They think they'll create something when they arrive.
It's a lovely place to sit around and make things. But on the other hand, it's tricky to make ends meet because it's always hard when you're making your own product to get your money back. So a lot of people I think do it for love, and maybe only a few really you can make a decent living out of it.
It was mostly
a concentration of different artists. It's fairly varied, painters and sculptors and you know, glass blowers, and just that feeling that everyone's working on their own ideas, and it creates a certain energy.
There is a very small market for bronze, life-size bronze sculpture. There isn't the patronage, there is no money here. So I'm bringing her here not to sell. God, if I sold it, it'd be great, but just for people to see and enjoy.
Probably a lot of the type of people that relocate to Byron Bay are the type of people that perhaps would work on the internet or maybe in new media or something creative that would have put them in touch with something to do with the internet.
The intermittent nature of work in the film and television production industry makes it conceivable to live here. You don't absolutely have to live in city work.
A lot of us live up here but still have to travel out of the area to work. But what's going on now with film in the Byron Shire is that there are more and more people who spend a lot of time travelling away from the place they've chosen to live who don't want to do it anymore. So there's an increasing number of people who are working to make sure that we can do things like have the Bass Film Festival, do things like start to look at producing, you know, short interstitial material for television, or, you know, shorts, drama, short drama, documentary. There are all those sort of things going on now up in Byron Bay.
I'll show you by the Aboriginal people.
The magnetic attraction of the region here is very favorable to artistic expression, and Byron Bay is certainly one of those poles. We have designed a website where people can hear samples of music in real audio and build their own CD, and that gives a good opportunity for the local artists, musicians and bands to be known everywhere around the world.
I decided that I was going to move up here and become a musician and do it seriously, living in Byron Bay. I've managed to be able to put together a little bit of music here and a little bit of music there, so I do my gigs, and I'm a piano and voice teacher, and I work the studio, and I produce film scores and television music, just basically putting little bits together and managing to survive.
Byron Bay is for me like a womb where a tremendous amount of creativity gets born every day. What brought me to Byron Bay is the beautiful nature here. It's one of the big attractions here for many people. And so with the internet, it's possible to reach out to the world, but living in the most beautiful part of the world. A dream of my life, I have to say. And so now I'm developing websites, package for composers, a package for authors, which they want to share with the world, and there are precious jewels here.
I moved here because I wanted to give what I knew about sound to a community that needs that as well. People are taught not to express themselves, or, you know, you can't do this or you can't do that, and we like to show people that you can, you know. You can have personal power, you know, and you can do a show, and you can affect people through your music, you know.
Bay FM is a station that has been created by the community, for the community, and it is the sound of the Shire. There is no paid staff, and we're all working extremely hard to achieve excellence in broadcasting, whether it be through their music or through addressing the issues that face people living in the Byron Shire. We deal with information that is alternative, and we like to get information to people that they wouldn't normally get through other means.
ByronBay.com website started in the end of 1997. I thought I'd be putting Byron Bay on the internet, hoping to sell a few macadamia nuts. That still hasn't happened. It took on quite a tourism focus because of the requests of its visitors. When I first started ByronBay.com, I went door to door offering to promote businesses for free, and half of them said no. Now I get, you know, dozens of calls each week. So the first year, 1998, ByronBay.com was visited about 80 or 90,000 times. In 2000, it was over 550,000 times. It's been more than doubling every year. With the average time our visitors spend on site, we have about 6 people looking at the site every second of every day. I think we'll be continuing with the tourism information, but trying to expand more regional information, perhaps more on the forests, more on the beaches, more on the outlying towns, hopefully more of the cottage industries. The people that visit the site want to know more. They read it as fast as I can put it up.
In many respects, moving up here was a choice which we made, which assumed we could overcome the problems of running a business from here, 2,000 kilometres. We can have teleconferences, we can have 2 or 3 of the staff on the same phone line, we can have management meetings if you like, where I'm here, they're there.
We started up Wild Buck Biscuits here in Byron a couple of years ago, and it's been fantastic working in a local area like this, the support from other small business people. We source as much stuff as we can from the Byron area. In our biscuits we use a lot of the Australian bush foods that are grown locally, and we source all our packaging and all our printing and all that kind of stuff from the Byron area. If we support as much as we can the local economy supports us, and more small businesses can come into this area and do sort of innovative and great things.
Lots of people from other places in Australia, also from overseas, come to Byron purely to get married. We're very fortunate in Australia to have the civil marriage program, which allows people to marry anywhere. For people that want to start their married life in some sort of exciting and different way, it offers them a spot of magic. The lighthouse is a symbol of hope and guidance, and the beaches are beautiful. Where the sand and the sea meet is always a beautiful combination. It's the balance of earth and water. And you know, a lot of people pick up on that, and it should be something that is incredibly perfect for them.
This is basically a shared facility. We have a group of guys working together, all experts in their own field, but we work as a team. We just build surfboards to all kinds of different labels, and as a group we have a fairly low overhead because we share the cost of the facility and the outgoings on it. So it works. Yeah, it's just a bit of a social experiment, but we seem to have no major problems at this point.
Byron Bay's future is being determined now. The impact of development, particularly on the natural landscape, is something that we have the ability to determine through local planning instruments. Working with other levels of government to ensure protection for the area will determine the capacity of the development that can occur. The community supports the protection of this area.
I'm just hoping that Byron's conscience keeps pace with their ego.
I think the secret of the future of Byron is to keep it different. The more different it is, the better place it's going to be to live in, the better place it's going to be to holiday in, the better place it's going to be to run a business in.
The future of Byron is really, again, it comes from where it is now. Now it's a mecca. People are coming here, they're coming here from all over the world, they're coming here to do their groups. They're coming here and falling in love.
I think it'd probably be a fantastic place to be able to come back to all the time, to get a breather from the rest of the world, but to be out there in the world doing what I'm doing now, but doing it probably from a different perspective from a lot of people, because I have this real sense of myself which comes from living in this area.
What we think should be the greenest town, should be the most environmentally sensitive area. We should be showing so many other people in Australia and the world what we can do here. I'd like to see solar cars driving around, cars removed from certain areas of town to do sensible and strong developments that work with Byron Bay and the image that we think it should have.
The only thing I am very hopeful for and I love is the street theatre here. I love that you walk through Byron at any time and there's exciting, fun things happening on the street. People are extroverted. They're still game to express themselves in a different sort of way, and I think that gives Byron something special, you know, and I hope it'll always be like that.
I think Byron should be for everyone, not just rich people. And I'd hate to see the backpackers all turn into upmarket units, or I'd hate to see the caravan parks disappear completely. I'd hate to see what goes on the street stopped, you know, the busking and the people and the kids and the young people and that whole diversity that's happening.
My only hope is that we actually have an improved environment, because I think what we're achieving here is about not just protecting but building on the strengths that are currently here. What you see here now hopefully will be little changed in 50 or 100 years' time, because what we do now will determine that.
I think we're incredibly lucky to be here. And I think that every morning when I wake up and the sun's shining and you look out the window and you go, you know, wow, where else could I possibly want to be?
I'm actually not very hopeful for Byron Bay. People used to come here to tap into the alternative lifestyle and see the hippies and, you know, see the surfers and enjoy that experience. But now the volume of tourists and travellers, backpackers and families on holiday, everybody, the volume is sort of outweighing the community, and so the community are all running for cover because it's just too busy.
It's changing rapidly and it's really difficult to know, you know, really where we're headed. But there's such an incredible diversity of creative minds, of people really well intentioned and who are really working hard on themselves to be a better human being. And I think that can only bode well for the future. And I've got a good feeling about the future.
I said to come here.
Any dive really that I've done around the rock has been a new experience.
The magnetic attraction of the region here, which is very favourable to artistic expression.
One of our greatest strengths is our diversity.
Byron Bay is a madhouse.
I think it's full of very eccentric people.
Anything we should do should highlight the difference between us and them.
This is where the future's going to come from, places like Byron Bay.